Hello and welcome back to what I strongly suspect is going to be the last part of Cupid. Then he gave a low snicker. Rosa, Rosa, Rosa. That is an amusing thesis. He looked at her dumbfounded face pitifully. Another chuckle escaped. Killing couldn't help it. Oh, you got me all wrong, Rosa. I do not undervalue people. In fact, I love them. I revere them. I am grateful. They sustain me after all. That alone deserves the appreciation and care I can give. I loved Catherine with every fibre of my being. She was a kind soul, and she tasted perfect. But I think you underestimate how long I've been on this dirty, forsaken rock. Good people are not rare and precious treasures. As such, they are not to be handled any differently from the rest. What? All this talk about worth. Do you mean some people are worth more than others because they are kind? What if from now I only consume bad people? Or how about those in the lowest caste of society? Ruffians and rapists and thieves. It is easy to be kind when you are privileged. But those poor unworthy souls, surely no one would miss them. Would that make you feel better? Rosa faltered. That's not what I'm saying. That is exactly what you are saying. You're telling me I shouldn't feed because there are good people out there that deserve better. So if they're bad, it is all right. How terribly judgmental of you. No, Every human being has a capacity for kindness or cruelty. To judge someone on such a volatile detail, that is prejudice. After all, a kind man can mull the death of his fellow man no sooner than a criminal can turn a new leaf. The truth is there are no good or bad people. There are just people. And I am not picky. Stop saying that. You don't really believe that, do you? You hurt like me. You want acceptance like me. I know deep inside you want something more than the feeding or a craving. You've written as much in your diary. You sneaky little minx. Didn't I tell you we're not supposed to touch that? Stop! Please, stop this, Gillamy. I implore you. Her pleading face stirred something in Gillamy, but the callousness in his heart had decades to harden. And he snorted. Oh, what? What do you plan to do, little girl? Is this it? Is this your plan? To put on a light show and talk me to death? Surely you didn't think it would be that easy. If you have a different offer, I'm all ears. I thought as much. Well, good talk. Albeit a little pointless, I'm sure you'll agree. Is that what you think of Catherine, then? Nothing but cattle? Gillamy winced, despite himself. I loved Catherine. I know you, too, loved her completely, whether you admit it or not. You can't take love without giving it, can you? Gillamy sighed in annoyance. Just another spoke in the old fun wheel? You're lying if you say you're not the least bit troubled by your actions. That's a start, Gillamy. The first step. It means you're not as cold as you wish to appear. If you admit your guilt and take responsibility for her death... Gillamy waved her away with an indifferent scoff. I refuse. Her death was her own decision. I had no hand in that. She reaped what she sowed and I collected it. That is all. With this validation, the assured smile came back to his lips, and he shrugged. Who knows? Maybe she could have gotten better over time. Most people bounce back from the loss of love. Or not. Who really knows? It is my fault she gave me everything. I did not ask her to. Which was only fair. Like you said, I did not hold back. It was an equal exchange. Rosa's throat went dry. Oh, love. Love is the strongest force in the world. But it is never pure. Always tainted, always poisoned. What are you talking about? Well, I hate to shatter this vision you have of Catherine, but she was not so righteous. She was as selfish as everyone else. What? Think back, Rosa. Do you really think her sister's death was a complete accident? Wasn't it convenient? Wasn't I convenient for little Miss Pedri? Yes, of course. Convenient. Perfectly adequate. Sweet, boring, obliging Marquis de Gaulle. Wasn't he so easy to love? How could he help her achieve her grand dreams, give her the good life that hovered just beyond her reach? After all, Gillamy didn't seem to have any plans of his own, did he? as if it's satisfied to exist only for her. Honestly, what a catch. What an impressive pedestal. Even when the core of love poisoned her, she made no attempts to leave, and I wonder why. Ah, now that's a question. Why indeed? Because she had hope, Guillaume. She stayed hoping her feelings for you would return. That was how much she loved you. Guillaume scoffed. How sweet of you to say. You really thought Catherine stayed with me just for love? And not all because she was scared, insecure, comfortable? Guillaume tapped his chin in mock contemplation. Or maybe she just wanted so badly to be a marquis's wife. Such a proud girl she was. Must she settle for anything less? That will show all the people who used to scorn and underestimate her. They who gossiped about her family behind her back. That will show them? Rosa took a shaky step back. It's not true. I won't believe it. Catherine was a kind person. So what? Does it matter? Does being kind justify selfishness? Does being kind even save anyone? You are heartless. Maybe. It has been so long I cannot tell. Always the love of self is first, Rosa. Don't take it personally. Shut up! Don't you ever get tired of justifying your hunger? So Catherine wasn't perfect, yet you simply pass the blame. All just excuses. The truth is, you just don't want to stop, do you? You're no god, no higher being. You're nothing but a common vampire, a monster. Guillaume's face twisted. Feeding on the love of the people who love you. You must know how wrong that is. Guillaume's fist shook visibly, but he kept his smile, and his voice remained pleasant and calm. So, you compare me to storybook monsters now, Rosa. How insulting. But yes, wouldn't it be easier if I downed on blood or flesh? Something tangible, perhaps. Something physical. Things... Oh, for God's sake. Things would have been so much simpler. After all, if I drank blood, I wouldn't have to tangle with their lives. He turned to Rosa, his eyes burning, and she could feel the... Oh, for God's sake, hang on. Bloody hiccups. Right. He turned to Rosa, his eyes burning, and she could feel the heat in his stare. I wouldn't have to be sane. Guillaume's voice shook with anger. She flinched. You self-righteous minstrel, how dare you talk to me about guilt? How dare you call me a monster? You chastise me, singing songs of praise for the greater good. Have you ever tasted your own betrayal under the lips of your person you love? Do you know what it's like to strangle hope with your own hands? I look into their eyes and I see them die from the inside out. Am I worth it? Am I worth all their lives? Never! But I do it, again and again and again and again, just for the right to exist. You may read my journal and act like you know me. You know nothing. I wish I was a monster. Maybe then I wouldn't have to feel. The silence reigned between the two of them. Guillaume's face went blank after his outburst, almost confused at the words that came out of his mouth. He forced his lips into a placated grin. Pardon me, I didn't mean to shout. He took a deep breath and refused to speak again. Rosa buried her face in her hands. He was right. She had come here with an overestimation of herself. Her ethics were the cries of a child. How could he listen to someone immersed only in her own tender ideals? If she wanted to help him, she had to know his pain. But what could she say? Her mind struggled with the words. They all sounded artificial in her head. All she could do was hold out her hand to reach him. Couldn't she? She could. Offer him hope. A little warmth away from the chunk of ice beating inside him. She approached him tentatively. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have spoken such hateful words. But don't you see? You don't have to endure this pain anymore. I'm offering you a different path, Guillaume. Let me help you. He didn't speak nor move. Rosa held on to the pain she saw in his eyes a moment ago. It was her only hope. But if there was ever a trace of it on his face, it had flitted away before it took substance. His abject face contorted into a grin, and he chuckled. And then his laughter filled the room, cold, bitter laughter that chilled her skin into a shiver. Rosa drew her hand away in fear. You really don't get it, do you? I meant to say, That is what makes it substantive. It is precious. What? Make no mistake, I endure this not for something as silly or disposable as blood. Love. Love is worth all the pain. The best wine tastes like the dirt from which it was exalted. Rosa's mouth dropped open in horror, and she stepped away from him. A cold shiver passed her spine. No, 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 Guillaume! She stared at him, grasping the flicker of hope that came as fast as it went. He had built a kingdom from the maze of his own heart, both ruler and prisoner, exalted and doomed. She could feel the cracks in his armour, the crumbling of a wall. He wanted to get out. Rosa thought she saw the light in this darkness, a hand reaching out to be saved. But where was it now? Where was this hope? It was gone. Had it ever been there at all? Or did it her desire to help him trick her into seeing what she wanted to see? Rosa bit her lip to steel herself. Don't look at me like that. I had the same morals as you when I was younger, but time soothes out the rough ideologies. I was wrong. I thought I could still save you. You're quite full of yourself to think you can save people. Guillaume took a step towards her and Rosa's throat closed up. Get away from me. I'm not going to hurt you, Rosa. If you wish to debate philosophy further, we can do so for 1,000 more years. But aren't we ignoring the single most potent truth? We found each other. So many souls running around this earth, and we actually managed to meet. Do you realize how momentous this is? I can give you love, Rosa. Forget Catherine or your mother. They are remnants of a bitter past. How long are you going to hang on to their memories anyway? Love is not something to be thrown away, Guillaume. It endures. I know this because I've loved Mother this long, despite the pain. She was the first person to show me I matter. From under the folds of her dress, Rosa took out a locket. It was the locket he had given her at the cliff. Guillaume stared at it, confused. Remember the person in the picture, Guillaume? Oh, you got it open. Pray tell, who is it? Is it the Queen? This is my mother. Called it! What? Guillaume's mind went blank for a moment. I felt something for you from the very beginning. My heart felt close to you. I want to believe it's because we are family. Don't you see? That's why I can't give up on your redemption so easily. I care for you more than you think, Guillaume. Guillaume furrowed his brow. Indeed, the woman in the picture stirred something in his memory. And yet, no matter how hard he searched his memories, he could not remember. Was there such a woman that bore him a child in the past? A sudden hope dug its nails into his chest once again, and he answered this hope with contempt. A force of habit. Pardon me, my memory is a bit rusty. What was her name again? Rosa parted her lips in disappointment. Is that all you're going to say? You were carrying my mother's picture all this time. You are my father, Guillaume. That's probably why we are the same. Curiously, there was an urge to take back his haughty words, but Guillaume forced it down. His pain made him uncomfortable. Her tears were starting to hurt him. He laughed and shrugged and promptly clenched his jaw. He didn't like how she made him aware of his own failings. A sudden irritation at Rosa came over him and itched to hurt her. Oh dear, forgive my cynicism, darling. He scratched his chin to hide his distress. That portrait is quite blurry, and I am barren. Rosa staggered. How much of your mother do you really remember? I don't remember it being birthing me, do you? You must admit the possibility that this mother you speak of was simply a stranger who took you in as her own, Rosa. Fueled by the force of our curse, she was deluded, possessive, hysterical. I do not deny I might be the root of her delusion. She must have searched for me, and found you by accident instead. Guillaume shrugged. An alternate theory, but one that makes more sense. What are you saying? Simple. Whoever created a pathetic thing such as me deemed it impossible to scatter my seed. It was just as well. There was a tinge of bitterness in his amused voice. After all, to wish this curse upon someone else, my child none the less, that would make me a different kind of monster altogether. Rosa looked at the locket with shaking hands and opened her mouth to say something, but promptly closed it. The fight had vanished from her eye. Tears fell as she closed the pendant in her fist, and Gillamy fidgeted uncomfortably. "If you want to believe it so much, then I can be your father if you so wish." Why? Why did he say that? He admitted that he didn't expect the words to come out. He was only mulling it over in his mind, looking at her dejected face. Pity, wasn't it? A favour out of pity for this poor, lonely girl. Or was it? Penance? I don't mind. He did his best not to sound distressed. Perhaps part of him wanted it to be true. Gillamy looked at Rosa and felt the same stirring of affection he had for her through the years. It wouldn't be much of a stretch, would it? He could protect her and care for her, like a real father would. Hope began to sprout in his heart again. That dastardly thing grew like a weed, and it veered dangerously close to breaking through his pride. Wouldn't it be a miracle? A child of his own flesh and blood standing before him, full of love and disappointment and confusion, exactly how a child would look upon their parent. What a nice sentiment. By this time, Gillamy was already well acquainted with the dying screams of hope. He knew which soft, secret places to push in order to kill it. "You don't deserve that." Of course, of course. Gillamy laughed, almost a bit too loudly. Rosa winced. "Don't look so troubled, my daughter. We're family, aren't we? Enough of such moody, sentimental topics. They bore me. Instead, why don't we start thinking about possibilities?" "Gillamy, please." She was still bent on changing his mind, but Gillamy could tell her resolve had all but fizzled out. "Oh, again? You still have not given up?" "I'll admit you have some spirit. It's admirable you'd go to such lengths for me. I mean it when I say that I am honoured. But you are so naive. Tragedy is everybody's friend, Rosa. If you stay with him too long, his smell will linger on your skin." "I don't care for tragedies myself. I'm more interested in opportunities. In what we have right now is a dawning, a beginning." Gillamy stepped close to Rosa, touching her cheek with his palm. Rosa was afraid, but she didn't make any attempts to run away this time. "Aren't you glad you found me? You're not alone anymore. We are blood. You don't have to hide and cower, to subject yourselves to the motions of this cruel life. Enough of this fascination for glorified sacrifice. Come with me." Rosa stared up at him. "What?" "Come with me, Rosa." He repeated his words with a cheerful smile. "Let us leave this place. Go far away. Start over. Doesn't that sound grand? It's about time you let go of the bad memories and face something new. Don't you think you owe yourself that much? And what of the victims you continue to take, Gillamy? But what about them? What about them? I care little for strangers. It is you I want to make happy, Rosa. Please, let me. I need you as much as you need me." Rosa bit her lip. "Mother? I need you right now. Please let me hear your voice." She struggled with the pain in her heart. She was free-falling. "Mother!" To hear Mother's voice. She had always been the ground she stood on, but the pain and bare feet and a place to stand. Whenever she walked or chose to fly, the ground would always be there when she landed. Such was the role of family. It didn't matter if she was a real mother or not. What mattered was the love she gave her. The memories were real. She was... "You've gone this far, darling. I trust in you. Whatever you decide, I will always be here, like how I have always been." Rosa's jaw clenched. She tasted the caustic realization in her mouth. "Rosa?" And that was when he felt an icy pain shoot through his chest. He looked down. There was a knife sticking out of him. The knife Rosa had stolen from the kitchen. "I'm sorry." The blade clattered to the floor and Rosa's lip quivered. "But I have to make this right." Gillamy's body lost all strength. He slumped on the floor, blood stained into his red shirt, and he just laughed in amusement. Oh, you stupid girl. So this is your response to my generous offer? How trifling. I expected better from you." Gillamy winced in pain. "Been a while since I was stabbed." She knelt beside him, and she didn't speak at once. "That wound will not heal like others, Gillamy." "Oh, I must end it here. For Catherine, for Mother, for all your victims, and for you, I have to do the right thing." She said this aloud, but she only half believed it. The right thing. Was there such a thing? Rosa revelled in this confusion. The least she could do was carry the burden of her choice for the rest of her life, instead of forgetting. She had considered simply leaving him, unchanged, and a prisoner of his own twisted ideals. She still could. If she reversed the spell now, allowed him to heal, he would survive. Young, powerful, healthy, but unchanged, and carrying the same shadow in his heart. She had tried, hadn't she? Whatever she did next should be none of her concern. There was a pinch in Rosa's chest. But to know that she had doomed him to make the same mistakes forever, to stop caring about him and to denigrate him into nothing but a failure, seemed crueler somehow. It would make her like him. Guillaume sat up wordlessly, his back pressed on the wall. This pain was different. The blood hadn't stopped leaking from his chest. He coughed and liquid flooded his lungs. It was getting harder to breathe. A part of him wanted to ask how she had found a way to kill him. It seemed quite pointless now, a waste of precious breath. He sat there bleeding, willing himself to anger. He thought of threatening her, demanding her to do something. But he didn't. He was surprised to find something else in his heart. Gratitude, of all things. Rosa held Guillaume's hand as the blood continued to pour out of his wound, and dimly Guillaume reflected that she really did have spirit. The courage to do what he could not. He used the last of his strength to lift up his hand and wipe away her tears. "Don't cry. I am fine with this." His hand lingered on her face for a while. He searched his heart for anger and bitterness for this girl, but there was none. How curious was it to feel the steel in his heart and yet no hate for its wielder. How curious was it to know that this was an act of love. "Rosa, you are an anomaly. You confuse me. Maybe if he had listened, would he have—" Maybe she was right. He could change. But it was too late for him, wasn't it? It had been too late for him decades ago, long after he had degraded life, including his own, as pointless and petty. That was the only regret. I wish we had met sooner." He took a deep breath. The pain in his chest throbbed with every breath. Still, it was only a distant buzzing in his mind. The pain was simply white noise. Rosa held his hand tighter. I'm sorry, I... Apologizing again? I thought I've made myself clear with that. Guillaume coughed and tasted metal in his mouth. He chuckled and wiped it away. "Rosa, I was never strong enough to endure this life. But it looks like you are. And that's good. Your mother raised you well. You'll stay with me for a while, won't you? Please?" "Yes, Guillaume." "Take my journal with you. It might help. I would still wish for you to start anew. Board the ship, the papers. Take the money in my office. Use it to build a new life." Guillaume coughed out red flecks of blood. He swallowed, and his throat felt like it was on fire. He had a lot more to say, a lot more to tell her. He tried to speak as clearly as he could, despite the bulge climbing up his windpipe. "Avoid small towns. They don't take to strangers kindly. You'll stick out like a sore thumb. Always present yourself as nobility, a person of influence. Give people another reason to think you're desirable. Otherwise, they will fear you and hate you, confused by their own urges." His breathing was getting erratic. "Also, remember to—" "Shh. Please. Rest now." Rosa smiled sadly. "You're still so generous, even if you are like this." Guillaume smiled. "Like what?" He chuckled at the memory. "Generosity is the only saving grace of the dying. Or a parent, I suspect. I am happy I found you, Father. Likewise. The last few years I've spent with you were my happiest." Guillaume stared at her, her vision clear now. And he pushed a strand of hair away from her face and touched her cheek fondly. "My daughter." Rosa's eyes filled with tears at this. "You are beautiful, And at the end, I got to meet you. To know that something good came from my existence. It is not so bad. I love you, Rosa. As do I, Father. Please, be free. Death gave the heart a final gift of bliss. He savoured this. Thank you, Rosa. The two of them crouched alone in a corner, cherishing each other's warmth for as long as it lasted. The candle's wick expired and the room was plunged to darkness. Darling? Yes, Mother? I know it was hard, but all the same, I am grateful. Mother didn't sound spiteful or on edge this time. She was simply serene. Rosa got up, looking down at him one last time. Mother, I cannot get rid of the feeling that I should have done things differently. Should I have done more? Should I have sacrificed more? Tears once again stung in her eye. I wish I could turn back time, change something, anything. I feel so powerless. I understand. Loss will always hurt, my darling. It makes us vulnerable. But you must know that changing things does not guarantee happiness. Do you understand? Yes. Oh, my darling. I wish I was there to hold you. What are you going to do now? I don't know. Whichever direction you head, I will be with you. I know you will, Mother. Your presence saved me, as it always does. You reminded me that nothing lost should be thrown away. Catherine, Gulimi and you will always be with me. I am not alone. I am proud of you, my beautiful daughter. The first rays of light slipped past the window and touched her face, and Rosa left the room to welcome the dawn. I think that's probably it. So that was ending 2, Dawning. Yep, thought that was the end of it. So yeah, so that was Cupid, a visual novel, and boy, was bits of that weird. Called both of the twists, you know, kind of nearish the end, but so yeah, very interesting little game. But I'll do what I always do. I'll coalesce my thoughts and write up a full review. But yeah. But yeah, that's an interesting little thing. Glad I played it, and yeah. Sorry, this one's going to take me a while to really. I love the fact the Red P engine logo is just Anyway, but yes. So, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in future series.